Canada is such a beautiful country, and Ontario is one of its most thriving provinces. And in today's video, I want to talk about the 5 top neighborhoods in one of the cities in Ontario that is booming. So let's get started and figure out if any of these neighborhoods match your criteria for you and your family. Let's get started. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Nasira Jamal and I'm a local realtor right here in the Greater Toronto area with the Canada Realty Group. Now, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living, working, playing, eating, sleeping, and what are the 5 top neighborhoods in one of the most fastest growing cities in Ontario called Brampton, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your notification on so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Honestly, I get calls every day from people who are moving, relocating to the Greater Toronto area, and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about moving here, relocating here, maybe you're just coming to check it out, then make sure you give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. You can even send that pigeon carrier. However you want to get a hold of me, days, nights, weekends, evenings, I've got your back when you're moving to the Greater Toronto area. Now let's get started on the 5 top neighborhoods in Brampton. So you've decided that Ontario is where you're going to land, and in Ontario you've decided maybe that you're looking at the Greater Toronto area. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the 5 top family-friendly neighborhoods in a city called Brampton, which is in the GTA, just outside of Toronto, about 45 minutes to an hour drive. And it is one of the fastest growing cities in all of Canada. And why? Well, we have a lot of new development coming in. There's a lot of immigrants that are coming into the country and landing at Pearson International Airport. So let's talk about the first neighborhood that you may want to consider if you're here with a family. And I'm going to point out some of the highlights of this area so that you can figure out if any of these amenities or the proximities of different things will help you settle into this area with your family. So the first area is called Fletchers Meadow. Now, Fletchers Meadow is a newer section of Brampton. It has been, of course, being developed over the last, I would say 15 years. I actually lived in Fletchers Meadow when it first got its dot on the map, and it has grown. There's a lot of new subdivisions that are actually extending past Fletchers Meadow, but within Fletchers Meadow, you're going to get all types of housing. You're going to get your freehold townhomes, you're going to get semi-detached, and your fully detached homes. A lot of these homes in Fletchers Meadows, the detached ones, will come with double car garage, 3 or 4 bedrooms. If you're looking at townhomes, they are situated within the different subdivisions, and the 2 primary builders here were Mattamy and Townwood. So you'll see that the construction or their floor plans are similar, and it is a cookie cutter subdivision, right? So every second, third home will look the same in terms of its exterior. Of course, people have modified them inside and they will look different. But, you know, just so you know, it is a subdivision with varying types of homes, right? You're going to have your semi-detached, your townhomes, and your detached all sort of scattered in the subdivision, which makes it really nice. No matter where you're starting out, you've got different types of homes around you, so it looks really nice in terms of curb appeal. So families love this area because it has developed so much that there's grocery stores nearby, schools are nearby, there's school busing, so depending on which type of school your child is going to, whether it's elementary, secondary, Post-secondary, you do have to come out of this area. There isn't a college nearby. The closest college you're going to have is Sheridan, which is located in Shoppers World in Brampton. There's a campus there. Of course, you know, if you're going into, your child is going to the University of Toronto or York or anything around, you know, even Kitchener-Waterloo or different universities that are in the area, they may be living off on campus. But in this area, there isn't a post-secondary college. So for the post-secondary students, you know, they are going to have to use busing to get to Sheridan if they're going to stay within Brampton, or if they're looking at any of the other universities in and around the GTA or outside of the GTA, they may be living on campus. But for primary schools and secondary schools, there's lots of them. There are actually, I find that when my son was at Parkholme, which is a high school in Fletchers, the school is large. It's massive. I think it had 1,500 students. Now, my son was in special needs, so he had a section in this university which was really designated for the special needs program, but it was, you know, housed in a very large high school. And that's what you'll find in this area is the schools are not small or, you know, they're not quaint. They are massive because the subdivisions have been growing so quickly. The schools had to be large enough to accommodate all of the children in the area. Whereas if you compare this area to perhaps, you know, Bramalea, you'll find that some of those schools are really small, you know, maybe 100, 200, 300 students. So that's something that you'll have to figure out. Do you want your child in a large school? And, you know, depending on budget and all of that. But Fletchers Meadow is a great area for young families. If you like the fact that you have parks nearby, there's a huge community center. I've talked about Cassie Campbell, but you know, this is one of the highlights of this area, and people love it because their children are in skating lessons or swimming lessons, or you know, they're playing sports. So you have access to it right in your backyard. There's also in Fletchers, there's also smaller parks that are situated, which you can go to, where if you have a little one and you just want to go to a park and, you know, put them on the swing or slide, there are some nice smaller parks that you have access to, which makes it really nice for families, and also for communities, like in terms of young moms that are, you know, coming, taking their children out, and they get to meet at the small park, and some of them are parkettes, but you know, this is a great family-centered neighborhood. And the budgeting here is actually one of the more affordable ones as well. So you'll find that you're able to get into a townhome. You know, I think the average you're going to look at about $650,000. The detached homes, you know, depending on size, you're going to be up about $900,000 to $1,100,000, $1,200,000. Some of them are on Ravine. So the house that I lived on, which was off Queen Mary, I had two houses there actually, and both of them were on the Ravine side, so it was really nice because I didn't have houses behind me, but there was a premium for those lots. So I bought from the builder back 20 some odd years ago, and now, you know, they're fetching over $1 million, $1,100,000 for them. So anyways, in this area, you're going to find a really nice array of homes, and you're going to find accessibility for schooling and shopping and grocery stores and restaurants, really all within the area because it's been developed now. There's not that much construction going on, though at the top end of Fletchers, there's still some new homes. You'll see townhomes. You'll see some really modern townhomes with like garages in the back, and they look very, you know, they look different from the other homes that you'll find in Fletchers because the builder here really took it up a notch, I think, and created some really modern style homes. Now, they are pricing wise, you know, over about $800,000, but you're in a really good section at Fletchers Meadow. Again, because it's been being developed over the last 20-25 years, the infrastructure is in place. The roads are all connected now. You know, you've got major arteries going to the 410, like Sandalwood, Beauvais, Mayfield. All of these arteries will get you into or close to the highway within about 15 minutes. Depending on traffic. So one of the things I'll tell you, if you live in Fletchers, is you're going to have to contend with traffic. Whether you are going to the 410 or you're just within the communities, it gets really busy. if you're taking Highway 10 down towards downtown Brampton or heading towards Mississauga, Highway 10 gets really busy during peak hours. So, again, that's just something that you have to note in any area that you're moving in, especially Brampton, because it's so large and it's growing so rapidly that different communities that are being built are further away from the main core. The other cool thing about Fletchers is that you're close to Mount Pleasant. Now, Mount Pleasant is a section within Fletchers. It is a Mattamy community, so Mattamy is a builder, and this is the community that Mattamy built out. There's a GO station here, so really good for commuters that are going into Toronto using the GO train. There's a library here. There's a skating rink. Beautiful. The way it's been designed is very beautiful. It's almost like a city within a city. And so as you can see, just the different types of homes, there's lots of detached, but you also get a lot of townhomes here. And again, some of them are really beautiful looking. They have a nice flair to it. And people that live here actually love the fact that they are near the main roads, that are connecting the other neighborhoods, as well as a large grocery store called Fortino's. There's small plazas all within the area, so it's really easy to get to grocery stores and shopping. And now if you're looking for a mall in this area, unfortunately you are about 20 minutes away from Brampton City Centre. There isn't an indoor mall. However, if you like the outdoor mall, then Trinity Commons is, again, about 15 minutes, down Beauvert. If you go down Beauvert or Chinguacousy, you'll be able to get, not Chinguacousy, sorry, Sandalwood, you'll be able to get to Trinity Commons, which is an outdoor mall, so lots of shopping. There's Canadian Tire there, so if you're looking at things that you need for, your house, if you're looking for clothing stores, shoe stores, it's all here. There's a big theater there as well. So within Fletchers, you don't have a mall, but access is amazing. Within 15 to 20 minutes, you'll be able to get to your shopping district, especially if you like the indoor mall like I do. So as I mentioned, it's still, Fletchers still has a lot of new construction going on. So you can see that they're still building more, and we have a lot more farmland still left going north of Fletchers. So you're going to continually see this growth as the communities get developed, and so there's still going to be lots of choice, lots of opportunities to get into the market. And the downfall of that is just that you may be living in some construction zones for a while, depending on which area of Fletchers you choose to live in. I find Mount Pleasant, primarily it's all been finished now. There's a little bit left where they are still building out, but overall it is somewhat still under construction, and so that's something that you might have to just be patient around. But great area for family. One of the highlights of Fletchers is Nelson Mandela Public School. So this is a large school for Fletchers. And again, I want you to just note that depending on where you are living within Fletchers, not every, they have their pockets, right, of which school district you're going to fall a part of. So I would definitely suggest looking at that prior to making your decisions. Even within Fletchers, there's going to be different schools. So, you want to, if you're particular in the type of, in the school that you want your child to attend, then you want to check that out before you pick the house, because you can't do the cross boundary, as I've mentioned in many other videos, but you do have to be within the boundaries of that particular subdivision in which school that your child will attend. So the second area that is very family friendly, and people love this area because it's located north of Brampton, called Snellgrove. Now, it's north of Mayfield Road, and you've got a lot of different subdivisions that have been built out that are considered part of Snellgrove. Valley Creek is one of them. You've got Strawberry Fields. Strawberry Fields is new, under 10 years old. Lots of detached homes here. So you're going to find some beautiful homes, some on ravine, some that are, 4 or 5 bedrooms, double car garage. They have a lot of the stucco in the front that Strawberry Lanes or Strawberry Fields used. And you will find that now that it's been a few years, there's plazas already built out and easy access, but you are north of the sort of core of Brampton. So in terms of getting to the mall, you're going to, 20-minute drive, you're going to need I would say a car. You know, to get around, if you're up in this area, you are most likely going to require a vehicle. Though there is local busing going through it. It's just because it's tucked away so much further out that accessibility is a little bit poor, I would say, if you don't have a car. But if you have a vehicle, you know, it's really easy. And in this area, one of the highlights people love is the access to Loafers Lake. Now, Loafers Lake is actually part of a different section that I'm going to talk about called Heart Lake, but you know, it is one of the highlights that people in Snellgrove love going to because there's trails there. It's a beautiful park, and it's again accessible via car. You also find in Snellgrove, actually just off of Highway 10, there's been quite a bit of new growth, new development, lots of new townhomes. There are newer homes within this section that are still being built. So if you're looking for a newer home, but you want to be sort of tucked away, still further away, this might be a really good pocket. Now, for the schools, there are schools in the area now built. If you're going into a high school, you want to check the boundaries. You may be being shipped out, or your kids will be shipped out, maybe to Mayfield, which is a really good school. My son was in that school. They had a special ed program in there when he was in high school, and great school with a lot of you know, different people coming from different areas, just because it is the north. It's an allocated school for the north, and now that, of course, the area has grown so much, I think that there is other high schools that kids are being transferred to, but you want to check which side of the streets or which side of Snellgrove you're living on, and then figure out which high school will be for your child. Even if they're not in it right now, you may be planning, like in the next few years, which high school will they be going to, and if there is a special one or one that you really want them to go to. A lot of people love Mayfield, and so you know, they want to live within the boundaries that they can go to Mayfield. The thing about Snellgrove is, you know, if you let's say work downtown Toronto and there's a lot going on, and you know, lots of people, lots of cars, lots of everything, Snellgrove is one of those communities that it's a little bit slower paced. Even though it's still growing, meaning that there's new development, there's lots of new subdivisions, it's still a bit slower paced. And I think it's just the vibe in Snellgrove is quieter, you know, and there are lots of parks and parkettes. There's lots of green space. If you like the outdoors, you like that sort of being in an area where you're not completely congested with too many people, too many cars, then Snellgrove might be an area that you might want to consider. It is really great for families because what you'll find here is lots of young families, lots of young children, and kids that are, you know, going into from primary school to middle school, and so building up friendships and things like this. It's really, really great for families that want to kind of stay in an area and not really move until their kids are perhaps out of school. So the third area is called Sandringham-Wellington. This area attracts, in my opinion, probably the most amount of families, and there's a few reasons why, and we're going to go through them. It's a great pocket if you want to be close to the Highway 410. We are, so it's south of Countryside Road, and you've got between you Airport Road, Boulevard, and Highway 410. So in this pocket, what you're going to find is the outdoor mall that I spoke about. Trinity Commons is a popular mall where there's a movie theater, there's a home hardware store, Home Depot, there's Winners, there's a grocery store. So a lot of people that live here love Trinity Commons and the fact that it has, that they have access to it. The other thing is there's quite a bit on Great Lakes Boulevard. There's a lot of places of worship. So, you know, if you're looking to be close to either a church or a mosque, you've got that. And the types of homes that you're going to find here, they vary. Not just in size or type of home, but actually in the age of the home. So a lot of this has been developed. My very first home was in this area on Shady Pine Crescent. I had a little quad, and that's where I started. My life in Brampton started there. Has a landmark of a white church right at, I call it the white church just because it looks white. It's actually called the Toronto Ontario Temple. It's gorgeous. And when I actually moved there, there was nothing beyond this point. So where I lived, after that, sort of going north of that, was all farmland. And if we went west of this area, or sorry, east, going east on Beauverde, there was all farms. And now what you're going to find in that section is Brampton's newest hospital. It is huge and services all of Brampton. And so the growth, I mean, over 25 years has been exponential. And because I started in this area, I know this area is great for families. There's some amazing schools, and the busing is really good. So if you're, if your child is younger, and you'll have to check with I'll put a link in actually, with how many kilometers you have to be away before the child gets busing. But my son had school busing throughout his entire educational life in Brampton, but he was in special ed. So for special education, if your child is in special education or requires special education, you may want to look at the busing opportunities, because these children are bussed out. But anyway, so, there's good busing, there's good transportation, there's great shopping. You've got lots of plazas in this area. It's built out really well because this is one of the older sections, but still newer than Bramalea, like where Brampton really started, right? So what you'll find here is access to the hospital. So if you're a healthcare worker or you work at that hospital, or you need a hospital, maybe you've got some medical concerns, or you want to be near a medical center, maybe you have aging parents that need care, right? So you want to just kind of look at that as one of the highlights. And the con to this area is just the amount of traffic. Because it has the hospital, you'll find that there's going to be a lot of traffic going up and down Beauverde. But it is, depending on what you need for your family, it's a great spot to be in. People have asked me, because there's hospital, is there constant sirens of ambulances or police cars and things like that? For me personally, I did live when the hospital wasn't there, but I have a lot of clients that live in the area. It doesn't seem to be a huge concern. I mean, you do find, sometimes at night, I've been told that they hear the sirens for the ambulances. If you're right within the vicinity of the hospital, there are a few streets that are actually right in the backyard of the hospital. So you may find that it's more prevalent there. But for my clients that have bought a little bit further away, like 5 minutes from the hospital, that doesn't seem to be a problem for them. So the other highlight of this particular area is the Brampton Soccer Center. Now this is new pretty much over the last 5 years. I think it's been built out. It is a great spot if you have children that are into sports or athletics. Then you want to be near this, because then you're not traveling so far out to get them to their sporting activities. But it is one of the highlights because the area demanded it based on its growth, and it had the space, right? So for a lot of different sections that are being built out in Brampton, this is one of the areas, like I said, because it was one of the first new sections, it really, I think the planning was done really, really well to service the families that live here and that are going to live here and continually move into the area. So again, access to Trinity Commons, Highway 410. You also have access to Heart Lake Conservation Area. So a lot of people that live here love the fact that they're only 10 minutes from there. If they are going for a picnic, they're going for a hike, or they just want to go and walk and be somewhere where there's green space, you're not going too far out. And people love it, especially my clients who are outdoor enthusiasts. They actually really plan their weekends around what's going on at Heart Lake Conservation. Now, COVID has, of course, stopped all of those events and festivities and things like this. But Heart Lake actually has a lot going on, and that's something that, you can definitely look into once we are COVID free and open to move about. This is a great spot if you're looking to be close to a conservation area. So the types of homes you're going to find here, they vary. You will have, like I mentioned, I lived in a quad. It's a very unique type of townhomes. They don't build them like these anymore. But what it is you have 2 townhomes in the front and 2 in the back, and it just looks like one large house, but they're sectioned off in quarters. So if you're in the front, you have a front yard, and if you're in the back, you have a backyard. But these are great starter homes. I started there. I paid $169,000 22 years ago. So, these are now fetching up to about $600,000. I've seen some at about $580,000, $590,000. Depends on the renovations that are done, roofs, windows, furnaces, because they're all up for that now based on their age. But they were great starter homes, For me, I had a finished basement, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. So it was great for me and my son when we were alone, just living there, the two of us. It worked out really well because he had busing for school. I was really close to my work at that time. I was not a realtor. I was working for a United Way agency that I was a supervisor at a home child care program. So it was great for me because I was right in my districted area where I was servicing these home childcare providers. So it really gave me the opportunity to be close to where I worked, and my son was able to go to a special school out of this area but was bused. The fourth area, which is really good for families, is called Fletchers West. Now, not to confuse this with Fletchers Meadow, because the Meadows are north of Brampton. We are now south of Brampton. And when I say Brampton, I'm talking sort of the downtown core. We are closer to Mississauga. When you're in Fletchers West, you are going to have access to Highway 407. Now, 407 is our only highway that is a toll route. All the other 400 series highways are free. But with the 407, you are required to pay to get on and off that highway. There is a transponder you can get, which will lessen your cost, because every time they take a picture, they charge you for it if you don't have a transponder when you enter or exit the highway. But regardless, this is a great spot for those that use their vehicle, use the 407, or even, wanting to get to the 410. It's about a 10-minute drive depending on traffic. But if you're using your car, then you have more access or easier access to the highways from this section. The types of homes you're going to find here, and there are subdivisions that have been built out, but the older area, 30 years old, you're going to find some homes, that are larger lots. You've got double car garage, you've got single car garage, you've got townhomes here. But these are older homes, so their layouts are a bit different. They're more boxier. I find that in some cases where renovations were done, people have knocked down walls to make it a little bit more open concept. But in the older side of Fletchers West, you are going to find that the homes are more boxed in. Now, the good news is for Fletchers West, they've also had some new development, new construction, new townhomes, detached homes. There's a beautiful community right off Queen Street, which is still part of Fletchers West, which you'll have access to, that will have the new homes, double car garage, open floor concept. So depending on what your family needs. The cool thing about this area is its proximity to Mississauga. So you're close. As opposed to being in Fletchers Meadows, which, you are going to add a lot, about half an hour to your drive, if not more. So people love this area for being close to Mississauga, being close to the highways. There are parks in the area. In terms of conservation land, you are going to be traveling a little bit further to get to. But one of the highlights for this area is Eldorado Park. Now, this park is one of those sort of hidden gems. A lot of people don't know about it, but the Credit River runs right through it. There's walking trails. There's splash pad for the kids. You can do picnicking. I've seen weddings here. So there's a lot to do in this area, and you do have access to Eldorado Park as well as Lloyd Sanderson Park. Smaller park, but within the area of Fletchers West, you'll find that there are small parks within the different subdivisions, which is a really nice thing for families, especially if you have young children and you just want to go for a quick walk, or you want to take them to the park to play on the swings or the slide or whatever. You will have access to it all here. And again, it's really the proximity to the highways as well as Mississauga that makes this a really popular spot that families will choose. The fifth area is called the Vales of Castlemore. Now, this is one of the most sought after areas in Brampton. A lot of families choose to live here for many different reasons. One is that they're closer to Vaughan. They have access to Highway 427. There's a golf course that's not too far away. And really, the schools in this area are really good. There's busing. I actually lived on 26th Tree Line, which was in the Vales of Castlemore, the first bungalow I owned about 15 years ago. And the reason I chose to live there is because my real estate office, where I used to work out of, was only 5 minutes from there. So it really helped in terms of getting to and from work. But this is a sort of more of an expensive area. You'll find larger detached homes here, though there are some townhomes and semis. The area just is one of the more expensive areas, but you are going to find that it's a really nice pocket to be in. If you want to be close to Vaughan, you know, the detached homes will run you 1 million plus. But you will get more square footage. There are bungalows here. So if you're looking at the older bungalows, I actually had a bungalow that I fully renovated. You know, there was no finished basement. I added a finished basement. I added 2 bedrooms. And it really built up the equity quickly because I was able to do some of that work and update it. Now, a lot of these homes, because they're more than 20 years old, you know, they do need the components like roof, windows, furnaces, and things like that. So a lot of homeowners, when they're selling in this area, most of them I find have done that work because they, you know, obviously have lived in the home and need those updates if they're going to continue to live there. But if they're listing their home, I find a lot of them have been updated. If they haven't, you will see that the price will be a little bit different because those are components that are more high ticket items. This is a great area if you also want to be close to driving up to, let's say, Caledon. You want to go to the Blue Mountains. You kind of want to go north and check out some of the more rural areas and have access to the hills, which if you're a skier, this is great to be sort of in this pocket. But the Vales of Castlemore, again, you know, it is a great family pocket, family neighborhood, lots of good schools. And you will find shopping really, really accessible. There's lots of plazas and grocery stores. You'll find that within each subdivision, there is usually a smaller plaza with a convenience store and some other shops like a hair salon and, you know, doing your eyebrows and things like this. Great neighborhood. I loved it. I actually was very fortunate to be able to move around Brampton over the 20 plus years that I lived there, and I got to experience the different neighborhoods that I'm even talking about. And I can really speak of living in Brampton as something that if you are considering Brampton as your place to call home, then you will find these subdivisions that I'm talking about, or these areas, neighborhoods that I'm talking about. There's going to be one or a couple of them that will really catch your interest based on where it's located and the amenities it's close to. So if you're thinking about moving into the Brampton area, you're thinking about relocating, maybe you just want to come and check it out and see if Brampton is for you, if any of these neighborhoods are for you. Make sure you give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. You can even send that pigeon carrier. However you want to get a hold of me, I'm available days, nights, weekends, evenings. I've got your back when you're moving into the Brampton area. Until the next video, I'll catch you later.